Welcome to my review of the very interesting and unique LEGO Star Wars 2025 Advent Calendar. And I say that because this entire set is droid based, and it's also minifig scale. Like, all of the builds work with minifigs or are scaled to them. There are no micro ships or vehicles like we've seen in every previous Advent Calendar. This one is completely different, and I'm very excited to see if this change up to the Advent Calendar is as good as it seems, because I'll be honest, in previous years, those micro builds, they're cool, but they really don't do much for me because, you know, you just look at them and then throw them off to the side, or I personally usually throw them into a plastic baggie. I don't know what people do with them, but as far as something that might be a good play set for kids too, like, this presents like it might be the best one they've ever done. So very interesting concept here. Now, the other deal here is this is set 75418. It's got 263 pieces, and that does make it the first Advent Calendar of this decade to have less than 300 pieces, which is not a good thing here because it's not like there's a bunch of big pieces in this one that make it really actually worth the money. Like, this has 105 less pieces than last year's Advent Calendar, and it's the same price. The caveat to that, though, is that there is a unique mold in this set for Babu Frick. Now, as of now, he hasn't come out in another set, so it is unique, and so, like, maybe that's the reason that this has so few pieces compared to a lot of the more recent Advent Calendars, and it still, of course, retains the same price of $45. Yes, still $45 for these Star Wars Advent Calendars. Now, the box art definitely reminds me of the room in The Rise of Skywalker where C-3PO's eyes turn red. On top of the box, we've got this great 1-to-1 scale version of Babu Frick where he's peeking out of the door. Gotta love the way they presented that. And then the back of the box all but confirms that to me, as I believe we see Kijimi from The Rise of Skywalker. Pretty wild to see them make a reference to that planet, but that's, of course, the Babu Frick effect. Now, to open this Advent Calendar, there are simply 2 pieces of tape to cut through, one on top, one on the side, and then this whole panel can be pulled right down. There's some nice art in there. My eyes are definitely drawn to the rugs on the bottom, but on the inside you can see the recreation of the scene of C-3PO's eyes turning red with Babu Frick behind him. We've got a spoiler for the Gonk droid and more. The numbers are in a randomized order, but to show you how it works, we will open number 1. You just push in and pull out on the tab. Oh, let's go. They do start with Babu Frick. That is exciting. Usually they save the best for last, but this time they start you with the best. Also, how incredibly thoughtful. They put little holes in the bag so that he can breathe. Now, looking at everything built here, we've got a LEGO Star Wars record with 16 characters included in an Advent Calendar, and there's actually a 17th Easter egg one that's part of the rubble from the build sections. Now, starting with the figures we've seen before, we've got R7A7, Ahsoka's astromech droid that we saw released earlier in 2025. Nothing too exciting here because it's still going to be the same figure without backprinting, but it's also still a nice astromech droid, I guess, if you weren't going to get that set. Here you go. You've also got a B1 battle droid here, just with a mismatched arm and a mismatched backpack color, but it is cool to have the backpack on the B1 battle droid. I know people love when they do that, although, yeah, the colors just don't match. I don't know why they went with these odd colors. I guess just to make it look like a rust bucket. That must be the point. You've also got a super battle droid, same old super battle droid that we've seen for the last couple of years now. Nothing exciting. Really wish they would have done something more unique for this one, like make it red for Christmas, you know, like the chrome ones that we sell on mnrshop.com. That would have been nice here. BD72 is also included, and it's a great little figure, but I think most people would have preferred BD1 to make a reappearance here, as the release of Cal Kestis in the last year has made BD1 far more expensive and harder to get. BD1's color scheme also feels more festive. This is ultimately just a cheap reuse, and that's why they went with this over BD1, in my opinion. With the C-3PO, it's a unique figure, but none of the parts on it are unique to this set, as we've got the normal C-3PO torso and leg printing with arm printing. I mean, it looks nice, but it really should have a dual molded leg and side leg printing and all that. I mean, it just should. You should get the top of the line figure here, in my opinion. And then for his head, they've got the red eyes. We saw this same headpiece in the Dark Falcon, but all combined here, you actually get a Rise of Skywalker version of C-3PO, which is really cool to finally get, because it's something I just assumed we never would. So it's interesting that it finally happened in an Advent Calendar, of all things. Speaking of things you may have thought we would never get, Babu Frick is probably the highlight figure to a lot of people. It's a little tiny micro fig, just with one stud on the bottom so he can attach, and he is so cute. They really killed it here using the dual mold to represent the brown and gray perfectly, with just a little bit more printed on top, and man, he just looks fantastic. I think this is something that is going to get a lot of people to buy this set that maybe wouldn't have otherwise, and obviously that is going to be LEGO's intention, but I'm very impressed with Babu Frick here. Next, we've got the Snowman BB unit wearing the top hat to look extra festive, but yeah, he's got that standard LEGO snowman style. We've kind of seen this in a few Advent Calendars in the past, I believe, or something similar to this, so nice to see here. And then the final character that I would consider more minifigure-esque and not just a bunch of parts put together here is the Jawa, of course, which is just a real minifig, but he's got the short legs, all the regular Jawa parts, except for the torso, which is a Christmas sweater. And on the front, you've got the Gonk Droid with a couple of BD units, looks super cute. And then the back, I didn't realize this until I was doing the review here, but it's actually got a different design with the Astromech Droid and a couple of BB units. So really cool to see front and back different designs. I do wish we got more Christmas sweater figs in this set, and I still will campaign for this every time. The Santa figures need to return. Last year on mnrshop.com, we also did a killer custom Santa Bob. Like, imagine a figure like that in this set. It would be so much cooler than this Christmas sweater thing. Like, it's nice, whatever, but I feel like they're scared to do Santa because it probably alienates some people, but that's a lame reason not to do it. Next, we've got 8 kind of brick-built characters or droids included, and I'll start with the Gonk Droid, and this might be one of my least favorite Gonk Droids, but maybe I'm just not appreciating it for the right reasons. I mean, it's got some cool accessories, like the spoon and the broom could definitely be fun, and the color scheme of translucent pink and blue is nice. I just don't care much for the design. It's a little bit messy to me, and I think they've done a lot of great Gonk Droids recently, so this one's just a big mix-up from that. So if you liked what they had going, this isn't probably going to fit your taste. The Candy Cane Mouse Droid, on the other hand, is one that I gotta say I absolutely adore. What a great idea. I can't believe they haven't done this before. Like, this is such a simple one for them to do. They could have put this in any advent calendar over the last 15 years. Pretty dang cool to finally see something like this. So Candy Cane Mouse Droid, really cute, really fun. I think the highlight brick-built droid, though, has to be B2 EMO, and it's one that I kind of felt like we'd never see, much like Babu Frick, but this advent calendar proving to be a good opportunity to do some weird things, and B2 EMO from Andor here is fantastic. You've got the little red light on the front and a cute little wheel design. I mean, outside of doing an actual mold for this thing, which, hey, maybe they should have done like they do for Astromech droids, this is probably the best we're ever going to get. So pretty dang cool, and another one much like Babu Frick that might entice some people to buy the set because they've been wanting it from Andor. Next, we have the Buzz Droid, which felt promising to me, but I think it's ultimately just not that great of a Buzz Droid because the drill head is what that bottom piece is. It's not a stand. It looks like a stand. It literally looks like it's something that's just holding the Buzz Droid in the air, but it's actually supposed to be the drill head, and in universe, it's just way smaller. Obviously, at this scale, Lego's not going to be able to properly represent that, and same happens with like the Buzzsaw in the past. They use a Buzzsaw that's much bigger, but the issue here is that it literally stops this thing from being able to just walk on the ground normally, and so yeah, I think it's a very odd choice for them to do the Buzz Droid like this, even though it's interesting to see them actually represent the drill head instead of one of the saws. I think the 2014 Buzz Droid proves that the bottom side could have been done much better on this, and it just wasn't, and yeah, I think it's pretty rough because of that. I do like that they've got the little antenna on top. I think that's the first time they've actually tried to represent that with a Buzz Droid, but another downfall has to be the shell pieces on the left and the right. Usually those are printed. Of course, Lego Star Wars being cheaper than ever, meanwhile Lego posting record profits every year. Yeah, they can't print them anymore, I guess, and so now we get unprinted ones. A real dang shame. I mean, maybe they could have printed them and done them decorated in a holiday theme. That would have made sense too, but instead just completely unprinted. Very sad and cheap, and ultimately this Buzz Droid just does not do it for me. I gotta say, while it's expected, it is really rough to see a probe droid like this. It feels like it's missing the eye at the back, because usually they do an eye or something on all 4 sides, but the back side is just kind of empty. My theory as I was building it was that they had to leave it like this because of the instructions and that you can't see the back side to actually know that the piece is supposed to go there, but yeah, that's just an unfortunate design. It looks pretty rough on the back side. You got the 4 arms, you got the little stand, but this is a very odd probe droid, and they've made much better in the past. For an advent calendar build, sure, fine, whatever. It's something I'm going to throw in a bag anyway, like I said earlier in the review, but yeah, I do wish it was better. Next, we have what I thought was a representation of R1G4, a droid that we had previously seen in the 2 larger Sandcrawler sets, but according to Lego.com description, this is actually a medical droid with holiday theming, and it definitely looks like a Christmas tree, so that makes a lot more sense than an R1G4, even though it was the green that made me think it was R1G4, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, as a festive holiday droid that's posing as a Christmas tree, this is definitely an interesting one. We've got our Pit Droid next, which is definitely a nice figure, as you've got a lot of posability. The head can move left and right, both of the arms can move up and down, and the feet can move up and down, and they can also be twisted to the left and the right, or I guess the torso on top can be twisted left and right. The whole thing has some nice posability to it, and I'm not too miffed that this one isn't holiday themed, because we just recently got a holiday themed version of the Pit Droid, so I think maybe some people would prefer to get a regular version of the Pit Droid. I don't know, let me know in the comments, but it's a nice Pit Droid regardless of its color there. And then finally, we've got the Treadwell droid. This is one that we usually see in Sandcrawler sets, so it's great to get in just a random set for once, and it's a great little build. I love the Treadwell droid. This is one that I just absolutely loved in the Sandcrawler sets, of course, so it's really cool to see it in another set with a modern build with all the smaller pieces. Looks pretty nice for an advent calendar build. Definitely one that I'm happy to have, and there's a little bit of posability to this guy, as you've seen. I think the sheer number of characters or droids that you see included here is going to be enough to get a lot of people interested in this advent calendar. There's definitely a little something for everyone, given how many different ones they were able to include. Now, we'll shove all of that aside aside and take a look at the very few builds in this set, because there's only a few days that actually aren't characters. It's wild. Now, the worst build has to be this tiny little Christmas tree, although you'll be relieved to know it doesn't come alone. It comes with the Snowman BB unit, so it's kind of a bonus to that rather than its own build, but it is pretty lame and tiny. Next, we've got a better build, and it is a chair. That is so exciting. I know it's kind of a boring build, actually, but what's exciting about it is just how niche it is to get the chair from The Rise of Skywalker, where C-3PO's eyes turn red. You can actually sit him in there, of course, and he does look really cool there. I am a little disappointed in it, though. It really should have had a piece here that would have allowed Babu Frick to stand behind him. They definitely could have done that very easily. I looked at the box again, and it looks like they actually just want you to place him right behind him, just kissing the back of his head, basically. Looks kind of cute there, but the issue with that is if you move it oh so slightly, he falls right off. So something with a stud right there definitely would have been nice, but it does keep the design cleaner, so it's a double-edged sword there. The best build in the set, though, has to be this Sandcrawler-inspired cart. It's got a little crane arm on the back, and it's very reminiscent, actually, of the 2018 Tatooine Battle Pack build. It is just much smaller here. Now, it's got the treads represented, front and back, really cool, all four of them, and then you've got a little spot in the middle for your Jawa to stand. There are some levers that he could theoretically pull, but they don't quite reach his hands. You can see just out of reach there, unfortunately. But still the idea is there, and I think that's going to be enough for most 5, 6, 7-year-olds. The crane arm on the back can nicely rotate. You do have to put it completely vertical once the Jawa is seated, though. Otherwise, it will eventually hit the back of his head. So just lift it all the way up and you can spin it around no problem. And as advertised on the back of the box, you can actually have it pick up the pit droid. So you have it grab on there just like that, and you lift it up and you've got the pit droid in the air. It luckily is nicely balanced, so even if you have it all the way out to the side, it's not going to just fall over. So really well balanced, nice build, and yeah, just pretty fun to have it drag along another character. Like, it looks really cool with the pit droid there. Let's test it with another one, because in the past they did the astromech droid in the battle pack, so it was able to hold that, and it is able to hold this astromech droid as well. This is a really cool little build for the advent calendar. I love this. I hope they do more little things like this in the future, because this is much more fun than one of the static little builds. I mean, I don't know. I do like the little builds, but this is a very interesting type of thing to do. We've got 5 other builds here, and they're all kind of interconnected in one way or another, because 4 of them are actually going to literally connect to each other, and this crate, while it is just a large crate, does have parts for that extra bonus Easter egg droid that I talked about, that you're actually going to be able to build with parts from here, here, and here. So we'll take the head from the back, the legs, and the body here. And just like that, we've got our bonus pseudo holiday theme battle droid. I would have killed for them to include a different color battle droid head, as in red, ideally, in the set. Would have been very cool, much more unique than this. It's still a nice, unique battle droid style, but I mean, come on, we all know they should have had a red head or a green head on this one. It would have been much cooler. Now, like I said, these other 4 builds are all connectable, which is very unique for a Star Wars Advent Calendar, and you literally just connect them together like this. It's a really simple process, and you can do it in different orders if you'd like, or just separate them off and have them as 2 and 2. Do it however you want, but all 4 together like that is pretty cool, and then you kind of curve it a little bit to make it look a little less rigid, and I think it looks really cool like this. You've got a shovel with the barrel on one side. You've got a bunch of tools in this particular section. Then we've got some canisters underneath these containers, and on top there was the battle droid head, but there's also a couple of tile studs in there. You've got a printed control panel on this one, as well as like what looks like a little grill to me, and then this translucent piece, I assume, is so that you can take, where did he go? I lost him. There he is. Babu Frick here, and then you just attach him onto that, so he's just kind of hanging out over the counter or doing work, and I think it looks pretty cool like that. I assume that's what that's for. Also got a nice little yellow mug that you can give to one of your figures. So there's a lot going on here for small little advent calendar builds, I think, and just the idea that these can all connect is really cool. I thought when I originally saw it, and that's obviously not going to be the case here, is that it was going to end up being some sort of train thing, and I think that would have made a lot of sense to make it like that, but obviously that is not the direction they went in, where this could tug along all of the rest of these with wheels. They don't even have wheels. They can't be tugged along, but I just thought it was a cool idea. It's just what immediately came to mind, but yeah, ultimately not the function of the builds here. here. Just a unique type of thing for an advent calendar. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Is this advent calendar worth $45? And simply using the eye test, to me, I don't see $45 of value in this. Getting so many different characters, I think, might change that in a lot of people's minds, but the amount of stuff that you're getting here doesn't feel like $45 of stuff. That is, of course, backed up by the fact that this has 105 less pieces than the 2024 version of the advent calendar. Of course, again, while retaining the same price, but hey, maybe the pieces are on average larger and therefore heavier, and so you're actually still getting the same amount of value in this set as we got in last year's set, and so we need to weigh them. So it looks like everything from 2025 weighs 117 grams versus 2024 coming in at 149 grams. That's leaving us at about 21% less stuff by weight and about 29% less stuff by piece count and 100% of the same price. Pretty insane how much less they have packaged into this new set for the same price in 2025. Look, it's a great concept for an advent calendar. There's some very cool characters that you probably want to get out of this one, but I really wouldn't suggest paying anything over $35 for this set, and that even feels like a bit of a stretch to me given how much they are squeezing us here. Anyway, you can check out more LEGO Star Wars 2025 set reviews on the end screen now.